Hello, and welcome to this American history podcast entitled The Middle Colonies. In this podcast, we're going to look at the settling of the Middle Colonies, which were situated in the mid Atlantic region of North America. The Middle Colonies included New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Settlers from countries such as England, France, the Netherlands, Germany, Sweden, Portugal came to these colonies for different reasons. Some were fleeing religious wars in their home countries, others were conducting trade. So, we're going to look at what life was like for people in the Middle Colonies. Okay, so let's get started. So, just like the settlers of New England and the southern colonies, immigrants who came to the Middle Colonies found ways to support themselves in their new environment. There were rivers and harbors and rich farmland that rolled across the region, and this area's weather was warmer than New England's, but it also avoided the really sticky and humid weather that you would find further south. So, as you can see from this picture, farming is going to be an important industry for this region. And settlers would soon discover that grains such as wheat, corn, rye, and barley would thrive in the climate found here. So, as a result, the region would earn the nickname breadbasket of the colonies. The residents of the breadbasket enjoyed more prosperous lives than the farmers in New England. Unfortunately, there was a cost, but not directly to the settlers. Their growing farms would continue to edge out the Native Americans who lived in the land. So, unfortunately, the economic prosperity of the middle colonies was bad for the Native American populations. And so, immigrants from all over Europe had heard about this fertile land and decided to move to the middle colonies. And really, they were attracted by the cheapness of the land, the limited government control in this area, and the religious tolerance that people practiced. So, more than 100,000 Germans immigrated to this area between 1683 and 1783. So when the English took possession of what was known as New Netherland, and it is New York today, it was already home to the Dutch, Swedes, Finns, Norwegians, French, Protestants, Jewish people, and many other settlers. So this diversity or wide variety of people was partly due to the Dutch, who had opened immigration to many different groups of people. It made the population of the Middle Colonies unique among all other regions of the Americas. After the English take over, most new immigrants came from England and Germany. More than like I said, more than 100,000 Germans had immigrated, and German artisans would create the Pennsylvania long rifle for hunting. They also designed the Conestoga wagon, which was capable of carrying up to 4 tons of cargo. Other German artisans were iron workers. They made glass, furniture, and kitchenware. The majority of Germans headed for the backcountry of Pennsylvania. They brought with them new farming techniques, such as providing shelter for their animals in the winter. Some farmers used indentured servants and enslaved people to tend their fields. As the settlers grew wealthier, they sold more of their harvest as cash crops and raised livestock for sale and export. So you can see the breakdown of the percentage of different peoples right here. So as you can see, it was a very diverse place, the Middle Colonies. So while the farmland and cities drew immigrants to the Middle Colonies, immigrants also came to enjoy something that was really much less concrete, but perhaps even more important to them, and that's religious freedom. With people from all walks of life pouring into the Middle Colonies, neighbors needed to show religious tolerance or acceptance of others in order to establish a sense of community. So, for their communities to get along with each other, they had to accept each other's differences. And this open mindedness was part of the legacy of the Dutch. In the Netherlands, Jewish people practiced their religion freely and were able to even become citizens. The Dutch also welcomed many Protestant groups, which were not recognized by the Catholic Church, including Puritans, Quakers, and Lutherans. In fact, the Pilgrims who settled at Plymouth, Massachusetts, had originally gone to the Netherlands because of the religious tolerance that they had found there. And the Dutch carried that practice of tolerance across the ocean into the Americas, where it continued after the English took over. So this right here says coexist, and it's made out of many different religious symbols from many different religions to kind of show that we all need to get along if we're going to live together. And this is the Quaker Oats logo. And that leads me to telling you about a religious group that was found in the Middle Colonies, and particularly in the colony of Pennsylvania. And that is a religious group known as the Quakers. And they were founded by an Englishman named William Penn, and he started Pennsylvania, and he established it as a safe home for his fellow Quakers. And those were members of the Religious Society of Friends, which was a Christian movement devoted to peaceful principles. And they were a really unique group. They emphasized education and equality, and they rejected formal worship and ministry because they were perceived by others as anti authority and even dangerous. Thousands of Quakers were persecuted in England and even in the American colonies. So Penn ends up naming his colony Sylvania, which means woods, and it got renamed later to Pennsylvania. So he wanted to create a colony based on Quaker doctrine, which is that all people are equal in the eyes of God. So by applying this doctrine, he made Pennsylvania into an extremely diverse society. Partly by encouraging religious minorities to settle there. So, Quaker doctrine also would emphasize tolerance for others. And in Pennsylvania, all colonists, no matter what their religion, could worship in their own way. Penn would also encourage diversity amongst Native Americans. He wanted to keep the peace with Native Americans, and he would purchase land from them and trade with them. So he really wanted to get along with Native Americans. And by the way, the Quaker Oat logo there was the Quaker Company was not founded by Quakers, but it was founded in Pennsylvania, and there are a lot of Quakers there, so they named their company Quaker Oats. So, the economic opportunities and tolerance for others in the Middle Colonies would lead to a stream of settlers moving into the cities along the Atlantic coast, especially the port cities of New York City and Philadelphia. And as the colonies produced more goods, trade from these ports would also grow, and people could find a variety of work in the cities. And during the colonial times, Philadelphia was the largest city in the colonies. They had a population that of about 23,000 people, which made it larger than both New York and Boston. And the city would thrive on crops and trade. And Philadelphia's merchants would forge relationships with farmers who needed to sell their wheat and livestock and lumber. And they'd sell those goods in the West Indies and in Europe. So, two of the largest cities in all of the 13 colonies, Philadelphia and New York, which is right there, and these are row houses in Philadelphia, which were used to house the growing population there. We're in the Middle Colonies, so they had a lot of growth in their cities. By the way, these houses here in Philadelphia, they were built in the colonial times, and people still live in them today. Okay, so now we're going to talk about slavery in the Middle Colonies. And although the Quakers didn't believe in slavery, not all of the Middle Colonies shared their views. An estimated 20% of the population in the Middle Colonies were African. The Dutch West India Company would provide what was called half freedom to older enslaved Africans. This meant that they were released from slavery, but their children were not. And other slaves worked for wages to buy their freedom. And as a result, by 1664, about one fifth of all Africans in the Middle Colonies were free. But tolerance for diversity was not extended to these Africans and African Americans, whether they were free or slaves. And about 40% of white households in the Middle Colonies had at least one slave, and many enslaved people were skilled workers and lived and worked next to free and indentured whites. So, while some people in the Middle Colonies would question whether the institution of slavery was moral, others would not and had slaves of their own. So there you have it, the Middle Colonies. So we looked at life in the colonies and how the geography there led to a strong agricultural economy and an economy that led to the growth of cities. We also saw how religious tolerance led to a large and very diverse society in the Middle Colonies. So, if you have any questions, you can watch this again, or you can write down the questions and ask them in class. So, I hope this helped you a lot, and have a great day.